Well, this is the Nutrition News Network, December 31st, 2019. Happy 2020 to everyone out here, the Nutrition News Network family. I'm Brian Budd. Today, we're just going to be talking about one thing today. I will be back in the, of course, building next week, back from vacation. But I want to wish all of you out there a happy and healthy and most prosperous new decade. With that being said, noticed a lot of people having issues this week going out and about. People having issues with stomach flu, upper respiratory infections. I've actually had a little bit of a bug earlier. So these are some things you can do. Always check with a doctor if you have any symptoms. If there's a cold or, if you have bronchitis or something, and you literally have a fever and stuff like that, obviously go to a doctor. But these are some things that I do that really help. And number one is rest. That's very important. Before even that, if you're a smoker, don't smoke while you're sick. Shouldn't be smoking anyways, but if you're smoking, switch to the gum if you need to, or the patch while you're sick. So that way, because I think I've gotten sick when I was a smoker, I would say in the last 10 years, probably about, from 1997 to 2012. So that's 15 years. Well, it's more than that. 1997 to 2012. No, that's 15 years. So that 15-year period, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to count backwards here, but folks, we're here on the air. But no, I think, okay, all right, now I got it. About 29 times in 15 years. And the average duration was probably, I would say, about 10 days. Now, compare that to pretty much right around 6 days to 5.5 days for when I don't smoke. And the last 8 years, I would say twice I've gotten sick with a upper respiratory infection. So twice out of 8 years, once every 4 years instead of once pretty much every 5 or 6 months. So that is very interesting. So if you're smoking, stop, at least while you're on there, so you can mitigate that problem. So rest is important. Rest as much as you can. Rest is where the body actually recovers. A lot of people get sick from a lot of things during this time of year. Number one, vitamin D levels are low because there's less sunlight, weather changes. That has a lot to do with it. But a lot of it has to do also with overworking yourself during the holidays, being around a lot of different people, cold air, dry air indoors, things like that'll affect it. It also just could be your immune system. Your immune system is not as good because, especially when you're drinking and eating a bunch of crap, your body's going to kind of take a turn for the worse. My weakness is cookies. And but anyways, rest is important. Relax. If there's a time when you want to be focused, but there's a time when it's okay to veg out and watch Netflix or watch, Blue Exorcist anime. It's okay. When you're sick. Now, number two, you want to hydrate, obviously. Warm liquids are very important. Hot liquids like soup, chicken soup, or whatever you want to call it. Any kind of soup with broth or whatever, that's great. Hot tea, with honey is okay. But honey has a lot of sugar in it, but it is a good throat coater. I get it. But even just having the hot liquid is good too. You want to stay away from really cold liquids because that kind of tends to form more mucus. And that's the next one is stay away from mucus-forming liquids and foods like milk, dairy, cheese, eggs. Even it's not dairy, it still makes you more congested because of the fat content. Although, fat's not necessarily bad, but if you are in a issue with that, you probably want to cut back on the fat. And actually, I would probably recommend you eat less when you're sick instead of more. Some people say starve a fever, feed a cold, but you really don't want to eat a lot of sugar because it'll feed the cold even more. But it's just hard to go with that. But I get it. But stay away from the mucus forming foods. Obviously, vitamin C, vitamin D are important to take, but zinc is important every day because it keeps your immune system. Essential fatty acids like fish oil are good. Organic cough syrup. Over-the-counter medicines that are acceptable that I would take is guaifenesin. That's the generic form of Mucinex. You don't need the long-term ones. You can get them at like Mark's for like $3.99 for 50 capsules, and they last like 4 hours. Those are a lot better, and they're so much cheaper. I mean, not knocking Mucinex, but they're just cheap, and they do the job for loosening up the phlegm, getting the mucus out of your head, out of your lungs. And obviously some Sudafed PE, but you've got to beware to not take too much, so that way you don't have rebound congestion coming back. Because a lot of people, they take too much of it, that's fine. You could take Advil, cold and sinus severe. The problem is that it kind of numbs everything out. You want to be able to do it. You want to be able to cough stuff up. Obviously, if it's really bad and it's bronchitis, you probably want to call your doctor and get some kind of Vicodin or something like that that's codeine filled. I mean, that's if you're obviously coughing up a lung and it's so painful when you cough. Like I said again, always check with your doctor with any of your symptoms. I'm just saying for like a bug, like a sinus infection, that's fungal. I'm not talking bacterial. Fungal's different. 85% of infections that are of the sinus are colds. I'm just talking about a cold. I'm not talking about something like bronchitis with pneumonia. Don't hesitate to go to your doctor. That's good. And also too, cough syrup is good for going to bed, obviously, so you can sleep. Anyways, number 5, you want to clean your bags where you have your spittle going out to, or throwing stuff out. You want to spray Lysol out through the house on the stuff you were sitting on or sleeping in. Change the sheets every day, all that stuff. Keep everything clean. That's very important, so you don't have contamination. And usually within 1 to 2 weeks, you'll get better. But, I mean, that's just something that you have to look at. In the wintertime, a lot of things you can do to prevent that are, obviously go through, getting enough good exercise, but not too much, eating a healthy diet. It's very hard this time of year, and that's why a lot of people get sick. So this is the last, of course, broadcast of the 2010s. Next broadcast I will be talking to you, it'll be 2020. I'm Brian Budd here for the Nutrition News Network. Go ahead and click subscribe at the bottom there, so that way I can give you any updates in the next Nutrition News Network podcast coming up here in the next so often. And I will talk to you soon. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This show or products appearing on the show is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Nutrition News Network. All rights reserved. Copyright 2020.